So I'm going to make so this is a very quick video. Let me start by saying I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is, of course, intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. So there was a really good tweet by Copy-Paste William Morgan 2. Thank you, William, for posting this tweet, because it brings to memory, and because so many things have gone on, we need to not lose sight of where we've been and where we are. Okay. So the tweet goes, MMAT1/MMTLP is a dividend placeholder, not a stock. NextBridgeHydrocarbons is the payment they still owe. Short sellers must pay out dividends according to U.S. and international laws. This includes counterfeits. There are no exceptions to this. They owe us a dividend payment and must pay. #MMTLP. To which I have to say, you are absolutely right, William Morgan. And this is something that we probably have forgotten to push or to talk about. The fact of the matter is that FINRA actually states that there is a short position in NextBridgeHydrocarbons, right? This is the stock that has never traded on any exchange. MMTLP shareholders, right, were meant to receive an NextBridgeHydrocarbons share 1-to-1 as the dividend. So as a result, this dividend of NextBridgeHydrocarbons shares was meant to be in our accounts. Okay, so if there are short positions in NextBridgeHydrocarbons, this means that the dividend of NextBridgeHydrocarbons shares for every MMTLP share was never actually paid, and it hasn't been paid for 150 days. It hasn't been paid for 150 days. That means that they're in default. How do we know it hasn't been paid for 150 days? Because of FINRA's FAQ. They said in the FAQ, what happens if short positions in MMTLP were not closed out before FINRA halted trading? It says broker-dealers have operational conventions in place for adjusting short positions following a corporate action. In this instance, FINRA understands that firms have adjusted short positions in MMTLP to reflect an equal size short position in NextBridge. Hang on a second. NextBridge was a dividend that was meant to be paid, and it has not been paid. That's what this means. Having a short position in NextBridge means that the dividend was never paid. Okay? Now, if the dividend hasn't been paid for over 150 days, doesn't that mean brokers and shorts are now in default? Aren't they in default? If they're in default, doesn't that mean that they have to close out their entire short position? Right? That means that they have to close their short position. That means that they have to buy shares, and they cannot buy shares. This is what they were supposed to do for over 150 days. Okay? Now, you and I don't actually know that the shares we have listed in our accounts are actual shares or placeholders. They might be actual shares, they might be placeholders. But thanks to FINRA's disclosure of the short position in MMTLP, we know that at least some people have only placeholders and not shares. So, we don't know if the particular shares in our account are placeholders or shares. In fact, there's no way to tell. There's no way to tell. Okay? So that means that at least some shares are placeholders. We don't know if we have placeholders or not. There's no way to tell. Therefore, we have to assume that all the shares are placeholders. We need a full accounting of the shares. Okay? We need a full accounting of the shares. Okay? FINRA's FAQ clearly goes against the convention that shorts have to pay dividends. They have not paid this dividend for 150 days. 150 days, at least some, all shorts have not paid this dividend. We know they have not paid because NextBridgeHydrocarbons shares are not tradable. They cannot get the shares. So they are in default. They are in default. We need the shorts who are in default to have their entire position closed out, which means they must buy our shares. They have to legally buy our shares. If they do not buy our shares, all of their assets need to be seized. Right? If you're in default and you owe a debt that you cannot pay, all of your assets must be seized until you can pay that debt. Simple. That's the way the world works. Okay? You're in default. Okay? Now, FINRA goes on, because they like to confuse the issue with their fact. What should investors do if they believe they have not received their NextBridgeHydrocarbons shares? Well, We know now that we have not received our NextBridge Hydrocarbon shares. What should we do if we believe that we have not received them? FINRA is saying, if you held a position, your account should reflect your position in NextBridge. Your broker-dealer is required to maintain possession or control of your shares in compliance with federal law. That is true. The broker-dealer is required to maintain control or possession of these shares. You may request a transfer of shares. That's beside the point. We know that at least some of those shares now are not real shares. We don't know which ones, but we do know that that's the case. If you believe your shares are not properly reflected in your account or broker-dealer, or your broker-dealer has not been willing to transfer shares pursuant to your instructions, you should contact your broker-dealer to understand the status of your shares. We know that broker-dealers have some shares, okay? We do not know which shares have been transferred, okay? They're able to transfer up to 165 million shares, which were distributed out. So broker-dealers have 165 million shares. Short positions are in excess of that. And those shorts are not deliverable. We do not know if our accounts have those shorts or not. We do not know what the status of the broker-dealers are. Their books need to be opened up. We need the blue sheets, and the blue sheets will indicate exactly what the short position is. So we need this information out, okay? The fact of the matter is, by FINRA's own accounting, broker-dealers are in default, and they've been in default for over 150 days. What happens when you're in default for over 150 days? Your position must be closed. This is not a failure to deliver. This is a default. That means every single asset of the shorts has to be held, has to be provided up to the people that they owe shares to. And if they cannot provide those shares, all of their assets have to be provided up. Either provide the shares, which you can't, because it's been halted, okay? Or you're now in default for over 150 days. Figure out which needs to be done, okay? This is a legal matter at this point. If you're in default for over 150 days and you have not handed over all of your shares, that's theft, actually, right? You're in default. You're trying to. That's either theft or fraud or something, okay? In either case, this is a situation for shorts. Now, for longs, we're owed the shares. We don't know if we have the shares or not. We do know that we are owed the shares, and we have placeholders that indicate that we are owed the shares. So we need a full accounting. We know that also we know that broker-dealers do not have the shares. Therefore, we know what the situation is. Okay, over 150 days. What needs to be done? What would happen if you were a short and you shorted some shares of stock and could not deliver that stock? Do you think the broker-dealer would extend you the courtesy of not delivering those shares for over 150 days? Ask your broker-dealer what happens if that's the case. Okay. Yeah, this is a legal question, and I hope all the people with active lawsuits will inquire about this question. Okay. Just FYI, quick commentary on my part, and yeah, that's what the situation is. I say prison time. Unless you can deliver the shares, unless you deliver the shares, you should go to prison, because you've not provided those, your shares that you sold, they became counterfeit shares, and as a result, you did not, because your short position is no longer valid anymore, because you've not fulfilled the obligations of a short, right? Your obligations as a short is to deliver dividends, and you did not deliver a dividend for 150 days. You're now in default. That's all I have to say. Very quick video. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Of course, this information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. I'm not I'm not a lawyer. This is my understanding as far as I know. You're in default, but I suggest that all the lawyers have a look at it. This is my understanding, of course. But yeah, if you've not delivered in over 150 days, can we go to collections on them? Actually, yeah, I'd like a full accounting to be able to go into collections on them. Let's see if that's possible, right? Who knows? I don't know. Let's find out. But they are currently in default for over 150 days, and I think that's something that in all the things that we've done with the protests, trying to get our voices heard, we've forgotten the fact that we are in the driver's seat. the brokers and the shorts are in default because they have not delivered their dividends. According to FINRA itself, they have not delivered the shares for over 150 days. They may say that, hey, well, we can transfer your shares to AST anytime you want, but by definition, they don't have enough shares, right? Because they have a short position, and we know the shares never traded. It's simple logic, okay? So that's the fact of the matter. Release the blue sheets. We already know what the answer is. Okay, they need to buy back those shares at any price at this point in time. That's the way I look at it, because it's been 150 days. Okay, that's all I have to say. Again, not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is, of course, intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Goodbye.